My name is Sari de Preeuw. I'm an IP lawyer, and in this video I will be discussing how you can prepare your participation to an open innovation event. So open innovation typically goes through different phases. First, there is the phase of inspiration. You will be talking to different people, to different organizations about your project and about potential collaborations. Typically, in that phase, no contracts are concluded. Second phase, you will choose your partners and you will organize your collaboration. Typically, hopefully, the partners will have a contractual framework in which they can work. And then, unavoidably, third phase is the time of the separation. There you will need to discuss who will get the dogs. What happens if the collaboration comes to an end? Now, importantly, when you are collaborating in an organized setup, such as a hackathon or an innovation booster event, you mustn't rely on the organizer of the event to protect or manage your intellectual property. You know your technology, you know best which intellectual property rights apply or which secrecy measures need to be respected. When you're participating in an open innovation event, you need to come prepared. You will be meeting many people, you will be sharing your experiences, you will be sharing your ideas, you will be seeking new synergies, and you will want to create new opportunities. At all times, you need to know which information you can share, for example, high-level technical information, some business information. You need to know which information you must absolutely keep secret. For example, if you're working on new technologies, inventions for which the patent application has not been filed yet, complex algorithms, don't show your source code. And then you need to know which information you can share under certain conditions. So for example, it might be interesting for you to show parts of your source code, but then perhaps conclude an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, before doing so. So much will depend on your technology and the ecosystem in which it will function. Let's take an example. In digital innovations, often the ecosystem is fairly complex. It's a complex system of hardware, software, and data. So for example, in the health sector, you might be working on some sensor that will collect data. The data will be channeled to a platform where the collected data will be present. They might be analyzed, they might be enriched with information from other sources. Access may be given to doctors, patients, families. Another example, in the logistics sector, you might be working on a tracker. There might be certain interfaces with an application where the user can get an overview of all the trackers wherever in the world. The data generated might be analyzed in order to optimize the management of the stock or the management of the risk. Each of these components might be subject or will be subject to different roles. So you need to check which type of innovation applies here, which type of technology you're working on, and the protection that is available for this type of innovation. So let's start with the hardware components. In my examples, the wearables or the sensors. These hardware components might be protected under patent law, for the technical aspects at least, but you need to file for patent protection. So you need to get a registration for your patent protection. The firmware in your hardware might be protected under copyright, and there might be some design protection for the product appearance if there's anything special about it. Second component, software. There might be a platform, you might have a mobile application, there might be an AI solution, there might be several algorithms that are valuable to your business. Copyright will be available for protecting the source code and the binary code of your software. There might be some patents even. If your invention can be qualified as a computer implemented invention, the technical aspects might qualify for patent protection. And then, of course, there's trade secrets for the source code, the algorithms, the data models, these elements might be protected as a trade secret, provided that you take all reasonable measures in order to preserve the secrecy. Then there's the data. You need to decide whether these data are indeed valuable and important to your business. You can think of data generated by IoT devices or the data that are generated throughout industrial processes. Now, the raw data as such are not protected under any IP rights. If they are valuable to your organization, you have to organize trade secret protection, for example, by concluding contractual obligations to preserve the confidential nature of the data. In some cases, you might even have database protection, but this is a fairly uncertain protection because you need to demonstrate some type of investment in the creation of the database. In sum, when you participate in an open innovation event, you need to come prepared. You need to get a background check and you need to know how your technology is protected. Do you have intellectual property rights? Do you have patent rights? Do you have copyrights? Did you put in place contractual protection, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, or are you fine with your certain aspects of your innovation not being protected at all? On the other hand, you also need to know whether the innovation, the technology of your partner is protected. Do they have any IP rights or trade secrets that impose certain obligations of secrecy or restrictions of use upon you and your organization? This is something that you need to be aware of as well. So even in the context of an open innovation event, it's best that you also discuss what happens with the foreground information. So the initiative that may result from the open innovation event. So even when you're collaborating in the context of open innovation, you should discuss what can happen with the initiatives that your team comes up with. What happens with the foreground? If you come to a new idea, you need to discuss who can run with it. Can every member of your team further develop the technology? Can every team member do this separately? Do you need to seek the authorization of the other team members? Or do you want to impose other types of conditions, such as payments? Good luck to you all.